At 3 a.m. in a quiet hospital corridor, wounded veteran Thomas Riley discovered twin girls abandoned in the waiting room with nothing but stuffed elephants and a sealed letter. He never imagined this moment would expose a billion-dollar empire, built on deceit, and connect him to America's most secretive heiress. These 4-year-olds carried a truth that powerful people would kill to keep hidden. What this broken Marine did next would not only save these children, but give him back the purpose war had stolen from him. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The emergency room lights flickered harsh and unforgiving as Thomas Riley made his final security rounds at Memorial Hospital. Thunder rumbled outside, rain pelting against the windows like distant artillery, a sound that still made him tense, even 3 years after returning from Afghanistan. His titanium knee protested with each step, a permanent souvenir from the IED that had ended his military career. The medical discharge papers had called him a hero. The nightmares that woke him shouting most nights told a different story. "West Wing clear," came the static-filled voice of Marquez over his walkie-talkie. "Copy that," Thomas responded, his deep voice echoing in the empty corridor. The midnight to 8 shift suited him perfectly. Fewer people meant fewer chances for the hypervigilance that had followed him home from war. Fewer loud noises, fewer unexpected movements, fewer moments where his hand instinctively reached for a weapon, no longer at his hip. The hospital's predictable rhythms had become his sanctuary. Each round of the same halls, a meditation that kept the chaos at bay. Thomas paused to straighten a crooked painting in the hallway, a peaceful landscape of mountains he'd never seen, then checked his watch. 3:17 a.m., the deathly quiet hour when even the most determined insomniacs surrendered to exhaustion, when babies paused their crying, when the world held its breath before dawn. He turned the corner toward the emergency department waiting area, mentally preparing for the usual scene. Empty chairs, bathed in fluorescent light, perhaps a lone family member dozing while waiting for news. What he found instead stopped him cold. 2 small figures sat huddled together on connected chairs, identical in every detail, matching red coats with tiny brass buttons, matching dark curls framing heart-shaped faces, matching uncertain eyes, that followed his movement with an alertness no child should possess. Twin girls, no more than 4 years old, each clutching stuffed elephants with worn fabric and mismatched button eyes. Thomas scanned the room with the practiced precision that had once kept his unit alive in hostile territory. No adults, no abandoned coffee cups or magazines, suggesting someone had stepped away momentarily. The intake nurse's station sat empty. Diane had probably stepped away for her 3 a.m. coffee, a ritual he could usually set his watch by. Years of training took over as he assessed the situation. 2 minors, unsupervised, possible abandonment. His duty was clear: call social services, file a report, let the system take over. Yet something made him hesitate. He approached slowly, deliberately, crouching down despite the protest from his damaged knee. The girls didn't shrink back. They watched him with calm curiosity, as if they'd been expecting him. "Hey there," he said softly, using the same voice he'd perfected in villages across Kandahar province when approaching children who had seen too much. "I'm Thomas. I work here. Where's your mom or dad?" The twins exchanged a glance, a silent communication that needed no words. Then the one on the left, distinguishable only by a small crescent-shaped birthmark near her right eye, reached into her coat pocket and withdrew an envelope. The white paper was slightly wrinkled, sealed with actual wax, deep blue with an embossed letter V pressed into it. "For the person who finds us," she whispered, her voice surprisingly clear for someone so small. Thomas accepted the envelope. Military-trained hands that had once disarmed explosives, now trembling slightly at what this might mean. The envelope felt heavy, significant, the kind of weight that changed lives. "What's your name?" he asked the girl with the birthmark. "Sophia," she replied, then pointed to her sister. "She's Olivia." "Where did your mum or dad go?" Thomas asked gently. Olivia spoke then, her voice identical to her sister's but somehow more hesitant. "Mommy said we'd be safe here, that the right person would find us." Thomas felt a chill run through him that had nothing to do with the hospital's aggressive air conditioning. These weren't children accidentally left behind. This was deliberate, planned. The implications twisted in his stomach like barbed wire. "Are you the right person?" Sophia asked, her eyes searching his face with an intensity that made her seem far older than her years. Before Thomas could answer, his radio crackled. "Riley, is everything okay down there? Diane's back at the desk and says there are kids in the waiting room." Thomas keyed his radio without taking his eyes off the twins. "I've got it covered. Tell her I'll be there in 5. He tucked the envelope into his uniform pocket and made a decision that wasn't in any security protocol he'd been taught. "Are you two hungry? I've got some animal crackers in my locker." Both girls nodded in perfect synchronicity. "Come on then," he said, standing and offering his hands. "Let's get you somewhere more comfortable while we figure this out." Each twin took one of his hands, their tiny fingers wrapping around his calloused ones with surprising strength. As they walked away from the waiting area, Thomas felt the weight of the envelope in his pocket like a live grenade. He didn't know then about the penthouse on Park Avenue sitting empty, or the private jet abandoned at a small airstrip in Vermont. He couldn't have guessed that these children's mother had disappeared not out of negligence, but desperate necessity, or that the family name hidden in that envelope funded research hospitals and university wings across 3 states. All Thomas knew as he led those small, brave children down the quiet corridor was that his carefully constructed routine had just been shattered. And despite every red flag and warning bell, he felt more alive than he had since the day he'd left the battlefield behind. Thomas Riley's apartment was never meant for children. The sparse 1-bedroom walk-up occupied the 3rd floor of a weathered brownstone in a neighborhood that real estate agents optimistically called transitional. Exposed brick walls and hardwood floors gave it character, realtors had said. What they didn't mention was how the pipes groaned like wounded animals in winter, or how the fire escape outside his bedroom window rattled with every passing subway train. The studio's military precision reflected a life stripped to essentials, bed made with hospital corners tight enough to bounce a quarter, framed photographs arranged at perfect right angles, his unit smiling beneath an Afghan sun, his parents on their 30th anniversary, himself in dress blues receiving the Purple Heart. A bookshelf filled with war histories and dog-eared paperbacks, a small television he rarely turned on, a kitchen with exactly 4 plates, 4 glasses, and cutlery for 4, though he never had visitors. Now, at 6:45 a.m., that carefully maintained order had surrendered to chaos. Sophia and Olivia sat at his small kitchen table, nibbling animal crackers and sipping apple juice from his coffee mugs, the only cups he owned that didn't contain Marine Corps emblems. They looked impossibly small on his wooden chairs, their feet dangling inches above the floor, their matching red coats now draped over a kitchen chair. The sealed envelope sat untouched on the counter. "Aren't you going to open it?" Olivia asked, following his gaze. Thomas ran a hand through his close-cropped hair, still regulation short, despite 3 years as a civilian. "Soon," he said. "First, I need to make some calls." But he didn't reach for his phone. Protocol demanded he contact Child Protective Services immediately. These girls needed proper placement, professional care, not an ex-Marine with more emotional baggage than living space. Instead, he found himself asking, "Are you too tired? You can rest on my bed if you want." Sophia shook her head. "We're okay. Mommy said we might have to be brave for a little while." Thomas felt that familiar knot in his chest, the same sensation he'd experienced in villages where children spoke like adults because circumstances had robbed them of childhood. He'd seen it too many times overseas, young eyes that held old souls. "When did you last see your mom?" he asked gently. The twins exchanged another of those silent communications that seemed to pass entire conversations between them. "Yesterday," Olivia answered. "She was crying when she hugged us goodbye. She said she had to go away to keep us safe," Sophia added, "from the bad people." Thomas's military instincts sharpened. "What bad people?" "The ones who want Mommy's special papers," Olivia said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "They made us move a lot," Sophia continued. "We had 4 different houses this year." Thomas leaned against the counter, trying to make sense of their fragmented explanations. 4 houses in a year, running from bad people. A mother desperate enough to leave her children with a cryptic message for whoever found them. None of it aligned with neglect or abandonment. This had the hallmarks of something else, something he recognized from his time overseas. Someone in hiding, someone under threat, someone under threat. He glanced at his phone. Standard procedure was clear, yet his instincts, the same ones that had kept his unit alive in an ambush country, whispered that standard procedure might be exactly the wrong move. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time. So if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. "I'm going to help you," he said finally, the words surprising him as much as they seemed to comfort the twins. "But I need to understand what's happening. I think it's time I read that letter." He retrieved the envelope from the counter and broke the wax seal. Inside was a handwritten letter on heavy stationery, along with a USB drive and what appeared to be a safety deposit box key. "To whoever finds my daughters," the letter began in elegant script. "If you're reading this, you've made a choice that many wouldn't. You've chosen to help when it would have been easier to look away. For that alone, I owe you more gratitude than I can express." Thomas sank into a chair as he read further. The letter, revealing fragments of a story so unlikely he would have dismissed it as fiction had the evidence not been sitting at his kitchen table, watching him with identical somber eyes. The letter was signed simply Victoria, but the surname that followed hit him like a physical blow. Vandermeer, one of the wealthiest, most reclusive families in America. He looked up at the twins, Vandermeer, heirs who had returned to their animal crackers, oblivious to how their world had just shifted on its axis. Thomas's phone buzzed with a text from his supervisor. "Did you file the report on those kids before your shift ended?" He stared at the message, then at the girls, then back at the letter with its warnings and desperate plea. His finger hovered over the phone. 20 years of following orders. 3 years of rebuilding a life shattered by war. A lifetime of doing what was expected. He set the phone down without responding and felt something crack open inside him. Not the familiar fracture of trauma, but something else. Something that felt strangely like purpose. "Do you two like pancakes?" he asked instead. The twins nodded in unison, their faces brightening for the first time since he'd found them. As Thomas gathered ingredients for a breakfast he hadn't planned, he glanced at the purple heart in its frame. He'd earned it pulling fellow Marines from a burning vehicle, ignoring his own injuries to save others. The medals and commendations had never erased the question that haunted his nights. What was he saving himself for now? Looking at Sophia and Olivia, he felt the first whisper of an answer. The pancake batter sizzled as it hit the hot griddle, filling Thomas's apartment with a warmth it had never known. Sophia and Olivia sat perched on kitchen chairs propped with cushions, their identical faces animated for the first time as they watched him flip the 3rd round of pancakes with military precision. "Again!" Sophia squealed as a perfectly golden disc arced through the air and landed centered on the stack. Thomas smiled despite himself. He couldn't remember the last time he'd cooked for anyone else. Couldn't remember the last time his small apartment had contained laughter. "Last one," he said, pouring the remaining batter into 3 small circles. "And these ones are special." The twins leaned forward, curious. "Mickey Mouse pancakes," he explained, adding 2 smaller circles above the larger one. "My mom used to make these for me when I was about your age." This revelation that this tall, serious man had once been a child with a mother who made shaped pancakes seemed to fascinate the girls. Thomas felt something loosen in his chest. The hypervigilance that had followed him home from war had quieted, if only temporarily, replaced by the simple focus of feeding hungry children. As the twins ate, Thomas unfolded Victoria Vandermeer's letter again, reading carefully between the lines. The Vandermeer fortune, over $6 billion according to recent estimates, had originated in shipping and real estate before diversifying into pharmaceuticals and technology. The family was famously private, their names appearing more often on buildings and endowments than in social pages. Victoria's letter explained that she had uncovered evidence of illegal clinical trials being conducted by the pharmaceutical division, Vandermed. Test results falsified, side effects buried, deaths attributed to other causes. When she'd brought the evidence to the board, controlled primarily by her brother, Elliot, she'd been stonewalled. When she threatened to go public, she'd been threatened. In return, "They will try to paint me as unstable," she'd written. "They'll use my postpartum depression after the twins were born to discredit me. They've already tried to have me declared mentally incompetent. I won't let them take my daughters to control the shares they'll inherit. I won't let them silence me by threatening what I love most." The letter included contact information for a lawyer, Rebecca Chen, at a small firm specializing in whistleblower cases, and detailed instructions about the USB drive and safety deposit key. "I don't know who will find this letter," Victoria had concluded, "but I have to believe it will be someone who sees my daughters not as leverage or assets, but as children who deserve protection. Someone with courage enough to stand against wealth and power. I'm sorry to place this burden on a stranger, but I have nowhere else to turn. Help them, please, and if you can, help me expose the truth before more people die." Thomas folded the letter carefully and slipped it back into its envelope. His mind raced with implications. This wasn't just about abandoned children. This was corporate corruption, billions of dollars, and a mother desperate enough to leave her daughters with a cryptic message rather than see them used as pawns. His phone vibrated again, his supervisor now calling rather than texting. Thomas sent it to voicemail. Then it buzzed with a text. "Child Services calling hospital, asking about abandoned twins. Call me immediately." Thomas felt the familiar clarity of high-stakes decisions crystallizing in his mind. The same clarity he'd known in combat when options narrowed to essentials. His training demanded he follow protocol. His instincts told him something else entirely. "Sophia, Olivia," he said gently, "I need to ask you something important, and I need you to tell me the absolute truth, okay?" They nodded solemnly, maple syrup dotting their chins. "Did your mom tell you to find me specifically?" Thomas Riley. They shook their heads in unison. "No," Sophia said. "She just said to wait in the chairs until someone kind found us." "She said we'd know the right person," Olivia added, "by how they looked at us." "And how did I look at you?" Thomas asked, curious. Despite himself, the twins exchanged glances, having one of their silent conversations. "Like we were real people," Sophia said finally. "Not just kids. Like how mommy looks at us," Olivia whispered. Something caught in Thomas's throat. He'd seen enough combat to recognize a minefield when he was walking into one. Every logical part of him screamed to call child services, to hand this over to authorities better equipped to handle it, to return to his carefully structured life of nightmares and physical therapy appointments and midnight security shifts. Instead, he found himself asking, "Would you like to stay here with me for a little while until we can figure out how to help your mom?" Their matching expressions bloomed with such naked hope that Thomas felt his decision solidify. He would help these children, he would find their mother, and somehow he would make sense of the impossible situation Victoria Vandermeer had thrust upon him. His phone rang again. This time it was a number he didn't recognize. Thomas stared at it for 3 rings, then answered. "Mr. Riley," a woman's voice, crisp and professional. "My name is Rebecca Chen. I believe you may have something that belongs to a client of mine." Thomas's military instincts went to high alert. "How did you get this number?" Victoria left instructions to track the hospital security rotation. When 2 little girls were reported at Memorial and then disappeared, it wasn't difficult to determine who was on duty. A pause. "Are they safe?" Thomas glanced at the twins, now drawing with crayons and paper he'd found in a kitchen drawer. "Yes." "And the letter, did you read it?" "Yes." "Then you understand the stakes." It wasn't a question. "We need to meet, not over the phone." Thomas considered his options. He'd missed his post-shift sleep. His leg ached. Child Services was looking for the twins. His job was likely already in jeopardy. And now, a lawyer he'd never met was requesting a clandestine meeting. "I have conditions," he said, falling back on negotiation protocols he'd learned in the Corps. "I select the location. The girls stay with me until I'm satisfied their safety is guaranteed. And I want proof that you are who you claim to be." Rebecca Chen's laugh held no humor. "Mr. Riley, I would expect nothing less from a decorated Force Recon Marine." Victoria chose well. She paused. "Bring the USB drive, but not the key. Come alone, but bring the girls. Bryant Park by the carousel noon today. Look for a woman in a red scarf carrying the Art of War." The call ended before he could respond. Thomas stared at the phone, then at the twins who had transformed his kitchen table into an art studio. Their identical faces bent in concentration over their drawings, dark curls falling forward. For children whose lives had been upended, they showed remarkable resilience. Or perhaps, he thought darkly, they'd had too much practice at adapting to sudden changes. "Girls," he said, "we need to go on a little trip, but first, I think we need some supplies." Olivia looked up from her drawing. "Are we going to help Mommy now? The question held such simple trust that Thomas felt the weight of his promise settle across his shoulders, heavier than any rucksack he'd carried through mountain passes, more consequential than any mission he'd undertaken. "Yes," he said. There were a bridge burning behind him. "We're going to try." As he helped the twins gather their few belongings, Thomas caught sight of himself in the hallway mirror. The man reflected back wasn't the hollow-eyed veteran who usually stared back at him. Instead, he saw something he hadn't glimpsed in years, a man with purpose, a Marine with a mission. He wondered briefly what Victoria Vandermeer had seen when she'd researched him. What qualities in his service record had convinced her to gamble her daughter's safety on the chance he would be the one to find them. More importantly, he wondered if he still possessed those qualities after all he'd lost in the desert. The twins' drawings lay abandoned on the table as they prepared to leave identical houses with identical flowers and a tall figure standing beside 2 small ones, a family that existed only in crayon and hope. The Walgreens on 23rd Street was crowded with the morning rush of commuters grabbing energy drinks and aspirin. Thomas guided the twins through the aisles with the tactical awareness of someone who had once navigated hostile territory. His eyes scanned constantly exits, security cameras, faces that lingered too long. The twins stayed close, each holding one of his hands, sensing his tension. "We need to get you both some clothes," he said quietly. "And some basics for..." However long this takes. This department store detour hadn't been part of his initial plan, but reality had set in when he'd realized the girls had nothing but the clothes they wore. No toothbrushes, no change of outfits, no comfort items beyond their stuffed elephants, Ellie and Trunk, he'd learned, named with the straightforward logic of much younger children. Thomas grabbed a handbasket and navigated to the children's section. He hadn't shopped for anyone in years, let alone 4-year-old girls. The explosion of pink and ruffles momentarily disoriented him more than any firefight. "What size do you wear?" he asked, feeling immediately foolish. What did he know about children's clothing? Sophia reached for a sweater. "Mommy gets us 4T, she said with the confidence of someone who had done this before. "Sometimes 5T if it needs to last longer." Thomas watched in mild astonishment as the twins efficiently selected outfits, practical leggings, t-shirts, sweaters. No arguments about styles or colors, no begging for toys or treats. They operated with the practiced efficiency of children, used to packing quickly and leaving at a moment's notice. It was deeply unsettling. "You can each pick one special thing," he said impulsively. "Something fun, a toy or a book or..." The twins looked at him with identical expressions of confusion. "It's okay," he added. "Really?" Their faces lit up simultaneously, and for a moment they looked like normal 4-year-olds being offered an unexpected treat. They hurried to the toy aisle, conferring in whispers before each selecting a small stuffed dog, different colors but otherwise identical, to keep Ellie and Trunk company, Olivia explained seriously as they returned. At the register, Thomas paid in cash, avoiding the clerk's curious glance at his haggard appearance and the identical girls. The middle-aged woman smiled warmly at the twins. "Your daughters are beautiful," she said as she bagged their purchases. "Twins run in my family too." Thomas opened his mouth to correct her, then stopped. "Thank you," he said instead. The simple exchange sent a jolt through him. 20 minutes into their impromptu shopping trip, and strangers already assumed they were a family. What exactly was he doing? Playing house with abandoned children while corporate conspiracies and missing billionaires hung in the balance? Outside, Thomas checked his watch at 10:17 a.m. Still time before the meeting in Bryant Park. His mind raced through contingencies. If Rebecca Chen was legitimate, she might provide answers. If not, if this was some elaborate trap set by the Vandermeers, he couldn't take the twins to the meeting. The risk was too great, but whom could he trust with them? His neighbors were strangers. His fellow security guards would report them immediately. He had no family nearby, no close friends since returning from deployment. His isolation, once a comfort, now revealed itself as a liability. There was only one person he could think of: Jones. Sergeant Daniel Jones had served with Thomas through 2 deployments. Now he ran a boxing gym in Queens that doubled as a veterans support network. They weren't close anymore. Thomas had pushed away most attempts at connection after his medical discharge, but Jones was solid, trustworthy, and he understood following. Instincts over protocols. "Change of plans," Thomas told the twins, leading them toward the subway entrance. "We're going to visit a friend of mine first." 40 minutes later, they emerged in a working-class neighborhood in Queens. The twins had remained silent on the subway, observing everything with wide eyes, but asking no questions. Their trust in him was unnerving, complete, and unearned. Veterans Victory Boxing occupied the ground floor of a repurposed warehouse. The exterior was unassuming, but inside, the space was immaculate boxing rings, weight equipment, and motivational quotes painted on exposed brick walls. At this hour, only a few clients worked with trainers in the far corners. Jones spotted them immediately from behind the check-in counter. His expression shifted from surprise to wariness as he took in Thomas's appearance and the 2 small children flanking him. "Riley," he said, coming around the counter. "Didn't expect to see you today." His eyes flicked to the twins. "Or your company." "Jones," Thomas nodded. "We need to talk. Privately." Jones led them to his office in the back, a small space with a desk covered in scheduling paperwork and walls lined with photographs of fighters, many of them veterans with prosthetic limbs or visible scars. He closed the door and turned to Thomas with arms crossed. "Please tell me you didn't kidnap these children." "It's complicated," Thomas said. "Uncomplicate it." Jones's voice had the same commanding tone he'd used as a sergeant, but his eyes held concern rather than judgment. Thomas hesitated, then handed him Victoria's letter. "I need someone I can trust. I need to leave them somewhere safe while I meet her lawyer." Jones read the letter with a deepening frown, glancing occasionally at the twins who had discovered a box of granola bars and were politely asking if they could have one. "Help yourselves, little ladies," Jones said, his gruff demeanor softening. He waited until they were occupied before speaking again, his voice low. "Do you have any idea what you're getting into, Riley? These people are billionaires. If half of what this letter says is true, they're also dangerous. I'm aware. Are you?" Jones studied his face. "Because the Thomas Riley I've known for 15 years would have called child services immediately. By the book. No exceptions." Thomas felt a flash of irritation. "That Thomas Riley bled out in Afghanistan." Jones's expression softened. "No, he didn't. He's standing right in front of me, still trying to save everyone." The words hit with unexpected force. Thomas looked away, focusing on the twins, who were now carefully folding their granola bar wrappers into tiny squares. "I need your help, Jones. 2 hours max. I'll meet this lawyer, assess the situation, and figure out next steps. And if I say no? If I tell you to take these kids to the authorities where they belong?" Thomas met his gaze steadily. "Then I walk out that door and find another solution." The moment stretched between them, the old bond of brothers in arms tested against civilian realities. Finally, Jones sighed. 2 hours. Then we talk about options. Real options, not this lone wolf heroics. Bullshit. Relief washed through Thomas. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Jones muttered. "I still think you've lost your mind." He turned to the twins with a softer expression. "Ladies, how do you feel about learning some basic boxing moves?" Sophia and Olivia exchanged one of their silent communications, then looked up at Thomas with questioning eyes. "It's okay," he assured them. "Sergeant Jones is one of the good guys. I'll be back soon, I promise." "You're going to help Mommy?" Olivia asked. "That's the plan? Promise you'll come back?" Sophia added, her small face suddenly vulnerable. Thomas crouched down, his knee protesting, until he was at eye level with both girls. "I promise. Marines don't leave people behind." He felt Jones's gaze heavy upon him as he made this vow. They both knew Thomas was wading into uncertain waters, making promises he might not be able to keep. But looking into those trusting eyes, he couldn't offer anything less. As he stood to leave, Sophia thrust her stuffed elephant toward him. "Take Ellie," she said solemnly, "for protection." Thomas accepted the worn toy with appropriate gravity. "I'll keep her safe," he promised, tucking the elephant into his jacket pocket. At the door, Jones caught his arm. "Riley," he said quietly, ensuring the twins couldn't hear. "If this goes sideways, if anyone comes looking for those kids, I need to know you won't hold it against me if I do what's legally right." Thomas nodded once. "I understand." "And Riley." Jones's expression held the same focused concern he'd shown before difficult missions. "Watch your six. Billionaires play by different rules than warlords, but they're just as dangerous. Just as dangerous." Outside, Thomas checked his watch again at 11:20 a.m., just enough time to reach Bryant Park. As he headed for the subway, he felt the weight of the stuffed elephant in his pocket, the USB drive secured in his wallet, and Victoria's letter folded against his heart. For the first time since returning home with medals he didn't want, and a knee that would never fully heal, Thomas felt the familiar edge of purpose sharpening his senses. Someone needed him, not his skills with a weapon or his ability to follow orders, but his judgment, his protection, his willingness to stand between the vulnerable and those who would harm them. As the subway car rattled toward Manhattan, Thomas realized that the twins had given him something he'd been missing since his medical discharge. They'd made him a Marine again, not in uniform, but in the way that mattered most. They'd trusted him to complete the mission, whatever the cost. Bryant Park emerged like an oasis amid Manhattan's concrete and glass, a geometric patch of green flanked by skyscrapers that seemed to lean in, curious about the human dramas unfolding below. The early spring day had warmed, drawing office workers to benches with their lunches, tourists to snap photos of the library's imposing facade, and students sprawled across the lawn with textbooks and tablets. Thomas arrived at 11:55 a.m., instinctively, conducting a perimeter check as he entered from the southwest corner. He identified exits, blind spots, and vantage points with the automatic assessment of someone trained to see landscapes as tactical environments. The carousel wasn't operating yet. It would start at noon, but already children gathered near the ticket booth in anticipation, parents checking watches and adjusting jackets. He positioned himself with his back to a large planter, affording a clear view of approaching paths while minimizing his own exposure. The small stuffed elephant peeked from his jacket pocket, its worn trunk a strange talisman against the gravity of the moment. At precisely noon, the carousel music started a tinkling melody that seemed to belong to another era. Thomas scanned the gathering crowd, searching for a woman with a red scarf and a copy of The Art of War. He spotted her near the ticket booth, mid-30s, sleek black bob, designer glasses, and a crimson scarf that seemed too deliberately positioned to be casual. Unlike the harried parents around her, she stood perfectly still, one hand holding the book, while the other checked her watch with precise movements. Thomas approached cautiously, hyper-aware of others around them, watching for anyone paying too much attention. Anyone speaking into earpieces or hands positioned near concealed weapons. His years in special operations had taught him to recognize the subtle signatures of surveillance and ambush. "Sun Tzu," he said as he reached her, nodding at the book. "Bit heavy for carousel reading." Rebecca Chen's eyes assessed him with professional detachment. "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting," she quoted. "Where are the girls?" "Safe," Thomas replied. "Where I can retrieve them quickly if this checks out." "Where's Victoria Vandermeer?" A flicker of approval crossed Rebecca's face. "You followed protocol, but adapted to circumstances. She was right about you." She gestured toward an empty bench away from the carousel. "Walk with me, Mr. Riley. We have much to discuss and little time." They settled on the bench, maintaining a professional distance. From this vantage point, Thomas could see most of the park's central areas while appearing to casual observers like any pair of professionals. "Having a lunch meeting. Victoria contacted me 6 months ago," Rebecca began without preamble. She had discovered financial irregularities at Vandemed's research division, millions flowing to offshore accounts, clinical trial data being manipulated, and reports of adverse reactions being systematically buried. Thomas kept his expression neutral. The letter mentioned that. What the letter couldn't fully explain was the scope. Rebecca pulled a tablet from her bag, unlocked it with a complex passcode, and handed it to him. "This is what Victoria discovered before she went into hiding." The screen displayed internal emails, financial documents, and medical reports, all highlighting a damning pattern. Vandemed's flagship drug, Neurovex, marketed as a breakthrough treatment for early-onset Alzheimer's, had shown severe liver toxicity in early trials. Rather than address the issue, executives had manipulated data, changed testing protocols, and in at least 3 cases, paid off families of deceased trial participants. 8 people have died. Rebecca said quietly. Victoria found evidence of at least 16 more who developed liver failure but survived with transplants. The company attributed their conditions to pre-existing factors. Thomas scrolled through the documents, his military training allowing him to process the technical information efficiently despite the specialized terminology. Why didn't she take this directly to the FDA, to federal prosecutors? She tried. Rebecca's voice hardened. The Vandermed board, led by her brother Elliot, moved quickly. They claimed Victoria had been unstable since her husband's death 3 years ago, that the stress of raising twins alone had triggered paranoid delusions. They produced therapist notes, likely falsified, suggesting she had become obsessed with conspiracy theories. They tried to have her declared incompetent, Thomas recalled, from the letter, and nearly succeeded. Victoria owns 22% of Vandermed's shares that will transfer to her daughters upon her death, or if she's deemed unfit to manage her affairs. Combined with Elliot's 31%, control of the company would be absolute. Thomas looked up sharply. The twins' inheritance. Rebecca nodded. Which is why Victoria couldn't risk placing them with family or friends. Anyone connected to the Vandermeers would be suspect. She needed someone completely outside their sphere of influence, someone with no financial motive, someone with a documented history of moral courage under pressure. She researched me. It wasn't a question. Extensively, your service record, your commendations, even your medical history after discharge. Rebecca held his gaze steadily. Victoria followed a dozen potential candidates at Memorial Hospital for weeks. Security guards, nurses, custodial staff people who might encounter her daughters. She chose you. Thomas felt a chill that had nothing to do with the spring breeze. You make it sound like she stalked me. She was desperate, Rebecca said simply. Desperate people make thorough plans. The carousel music looped again, the cheerful melody now an incongruous backdrop to their conversation. Thomas watched children circling on painted horses, their faces alight with simple joy, and thought of Sophia and Olivia, children robbed of such uncomplicated happiness. Where is she now? He asked. Rebecca's expression tightened. That's where this gets complicated. We had a secure communication protocol established. Daily check-ins using burner phones and encrypted messages. 3 days ago, she missed a check-in, then another. Yesterday, she sent a code indicating potential compromise, followed by a message to initiate what she called Protocol Carousel, leaving the twins at Memorial during your shift. And you haven't heard from her since? No, but satellite. News reported a boat fire at a private marina in Connecticut yesterday morning. The vessel was registered to one of Victoria's shell companies. Thomas felt his combat instincts sharpening. You think they found her? I think we have to proceed under that assumption. Then the girls are in immediate danger, Thomas said, already rising. I need to get back to them. Rebecca placed a restraining hand on his arm. Wait, there's more you need to know. She pulled a manila envelope from her bag and handed it to him. Inside were legal documents, detailed, complex, bearing official seals and signatures. Temporary guardianship papers, Rebecca explained. Victoria prepared them months ago, leaving the guardian's name blank. I've had them authenticated and filed with the court this morning, with your name inserted as the appointed guardian. They're legitimate and binding. Thomas stared at the documents, his name printed in official type beneath legal language that conferred responsibility for 2 young lives. This can't be legal. It is, actually, unusual but legitimate under New York state law. Victoria retained full parental rights, but designated you as guardian should she be temporarily unable to fulfill parental duties due to circumstances beyond her control. The judge owed me a favor and expedited the filing without questions. Thomas felt the weight of the papers in his hands, heavier somehow than any orders he'd received in service. You filed these without my consent. I filed them because Victoria's contingency plan has been activated, which means she believes her life is in danger. Rebecca's professional demeanor cracked slightly, revealing genuine concern. Those girls need legal protection immediately, or Elliot Vandermeer will have them in his custody by nightfall. Child Services is already looking for them. The hospital has security footage of you leading them away. Thomas processed this information with tactical precision. So I'm either a kidnapper or their legal guardian. Exactly. Rebecca checked her watch. You have a decision to make, Mr. Riley. Walk away now. I'll take the guardianship papers back. You can claim temporary confusion. Perhaps PTSD clouded your judgment. You might face minor charges, but given your service record, likely nothing serious. Or you step into the role Victoria chose for you. Become the girl's protector while we locate their mother and expose what Vandermeer is hiding. She met his gaze directly. But understand, if you choose this path, you're making powerful enemies. The kind who make people disappear and call it a boating accident. Thomas felt the weight of the stuffed elephant in his pocket. He thought of Jones waiting with the twins, of the identical drawings they'd made, of a family that existed only in crayon and hope. He thought of Victoria Vandermeer, who had researched his military record and decided he was worthy of guarding what she loved most. He had been a Marine, had been a warrior, but that was before the IED that shattered his knee, before the nightmares and the isolation and the midnight security shifts in an empty hospital. I need verification, he said finally. Proof that Victoria Vandermeer is who you claim, that these documents are legitimate, that the threat is real. Rebecca nodded, unsurprised by his caution. The USB drive she left you contains everything you need, including a video of Victoria, explaining the situation in her own words. She stood straightening her scarf. Check it, verify everything. You have until the end of business day to decide. If I don't hear from you by 5, I'll assume you've declined and make alternative arrangements for the girl's safety. She handed him a burner phone. My number is the only one programmed in. Call when you've decided or if you need assistance. She gathered her belongings, then paused. For what it's worth, Mr. Riley, I believe Victoria chose correctly. Those girls deserve someone willing to stand between them and harm. Someone who understands that sometimes the right thing and the legal thing aren't the same. As Rebecca walked away, blending seamlessly into the lunchtime crowd, Thomas remained on the bench, the guardianship papers heavy in his hands. Around him, the park continued its normal rhythms. Tourists taking photos, office workers eating hurried lunches, the carousel turning in endless, cheerful circles. He was entering territory more unpredictable than any combat zone. He'd navigated a world of corporate power, family betrayal, and children who trusted him implicitly. The smart move would be to walk away, to return to his structured existence of night shifts and solitude. Instead, he found himself folding the guardianship papers carefully into his jacket pocket alongside Sophia's stuffed elephant. The decision, he realized, had already been made when he'd first looked into those trusting eyes and promised to help. Thomas Riley was many things: a wounded veteran, a solitary man, a night watchman in an empty hospital. But above all, he had been and would always be a Marine. And Marines never abandoned their posts, especially when those posts involved protecting the innocent from harm. He checked his watch time to retrieve the twins. Time to begin a mission he'd never trained for, with stakes higher than any he'd faced in combat. Time to become a guardian. The subway ride back to Jones's gym passed in a blur of tactical planning and legal considerations. Thomas analyzed angles and contingencies, mentally mapping safe houses and escape routes with the same methodical precision he'd once applied to combat operations. Only now, the mission parameters included bedtimes and favorite breakfast foods. When he arrived at Veterans, Victory boxing, the scene inside momentarily stopped him at the threshold. In the far corner of the gym, away from the serious training happening in the rings, Jones had cleared a small area with training mats. There, the twins stood in matching athletic stances, their tiny fists wrapped in oversized hand wraps, solemnly practicing jabs under Jones's patient instruction. Straight from the shoulder, Jones was saying, holding up focus mitts at the twins' eye level. Don't just use your arm, that's it, Olivia. Good, Sophia. Again. The twins punched in perfect synchronicity, their faces intense with concentration. For a moment, just a moment, they looked like ordinary children enjoying a new activity, unburdened by missing mothers and corporate conspiracies. Jones spotted Thomas first, relief washing over his features. "Look who's back, ladies," he called, right on time, just like he promised. The twins spun around, their serious expressions transforming into identical smiles. They ran to Thomas with surprising speed, stopping just short of embracing him as if unsure whether such familiarity was permitted. Thomas surprised himself by crouching down and opening his arms. The twins rushed forward, colliding with him in a tangle of small limbs and whispered thank yous. He felt something crack open inside him, something that had been sealed shut since his last deployment. "I brought Ellie back," he said, retrieving the stuffed elephant from his pocket and returning it to Sophia. "She kept me safe." Jones watched this exchange with a mixture of concern and something that might have been approval. "Girls, why don't you pack up your new gloves while I talk?" To Mr. Riley. When the twins were occupied with carefully removing their hand wraps, Jones pulled Thomas aside, his voice low and urgent. "Tell me you came to your senses." Thomas handed him the guardianship papers. "Not exactly." Jones scanned the documents, his expression cycling through disbelief, concern, and finally a reluctant understanding. "Jesus, Riley, this is either the most elaborate scam I've ever seen or it's exactly what it appears to be," Thomas finished. "Children in danger. A mother in hiding, corporate corruption, willing to eliminate anyone who threatens billions in pharmaceutical profits. And you're just going to dive headfirst into this? Become an instant father to twins while dodging corporate hitmen." Thomas glanced at the girls, who were now carefully folding their hand wraps just as Jones had demonstrated. "I'm going to protect them while their lawyer finds their mother. That's all." Jones ran a hand over his close-cropped hair. "That's all," he repeated flatly. "Right. Just a simple babysitting gig with added elements of corporate espionage and potential kidnapping charges." He studied Thomas's face. "You're really doing this?" It wasn't a question, but Thomas answered anyway. "Yes." "Then you'll need backup." Jones's tone shifted to the practical efficiency of a sergeant preparing for a mission. "My apartment above the gym has a pull-out couch and decent security. You can't go back to your place. It'll be the first place they look." Thomas blinked, caught off guard by the immediate offer of assistance. "Jones, I can't ask you to. You didn't ask." "I'm telling you." Jones cut him off. "Those girls need somewhere safe tonight, and you need time to figure out your next steps. Besides," he added with a hint of his usual gruffness, "they show real potential, good form, quick learners." The twins approached, hand wraps neatly folded, looking between the two men with matching expressions of patient interest. Thomas was struck again by their composure. Too practiced, too controlled for children so young. "We're going to stay with Sergeant Jones tonight," Thomas told them. "Is that okay with you two?" They nodded in perfect unison, accepting this change of plans without question. "You can show me your apartment," Sophia said to Jones with formal politeness. "And we'll be very tidy," Olivia added earnestly. Jones exchanged a look with Thomas, part amusement, part concern, at this unusual maturity. "I'm sure you will, ladies. Let's grab your things." Jones's apartment above the gym was a spare but comfortable bachelor space, softened by unexpected touches. Framed photographs of his golden retriever, houseplants thriving on the windowsills, cookbooks lining a kitchen shelf. "I'll take the couch," Jones said, showing them the small guest room with its full-sized bed. "You three can have the bedroom." "We couldn't," Thomas began. "You could and you will," Jones cut him off. "Those girls need stability, not a grown man sleeping on the floor. Besides, my back's used to that couch." While Jones prepared a simple dinner of spaghetti and meatballs, Thomas set up his laptop at the kitchen table and inserted Victoria's USB drive. The twins sat cross-legged on the living room floor, drawing with colored pencils Jones had produced from a cabinet. The drive contained exactly what Rebecca had described: incriminating emails, falsified clinical trial data, financial records showing suspicious transfers, and a video file labeled simply "For the Guardian." Thomas plugged in headphones and clicked play. Victoria Vandermeer appeared on screen, seated in what appeared to be a cabin interior. She was striking dark hair pulled back from a face that showed clear kinship to the twins, eyes intelligent and direct. She wore a simple sweater rather than the designer clothes one might expect from an heiress. "If you're watching this," she began without preamble, "then you found my daughters and made the choice to help them. For that alone, you have my eternal gratitude." She took a visible breath. "I don't know who you are, but I've tried to ensure this message reaches someone worthy of the trust I'm placing in them. Someone who understands that sometimes protection requires difficult choices." She explained the situation with clinical precision: the discovery of data manipulation at Vandermed, her brother's efforts to discredit her, and the growing evidence that Neurovex was killing patients while the company concealed the data. "I have copies of everything," she continued, "secured in multiple locations, but evidence means nothing if I'm declared incompetent or worse, if I simply disappear. My brother Elliot has already attempted to have me institutionalized once. The only reason he failed was because I'd anticipated the move and had my own psychiatric evaluations documented with independent doctors." Victoria's composure slipped slightly as she mentioned her daughters. "Sophia and Olivia are everything to me. They're also the legal heirs to my portion of the company. If anything happens to me, their guardianship becomes crucial. Whoever controls them effectively controls my shares until they reach a majority." Her expression hardened. "I won't allow my children to become pawns in a corporate power game, especially one that involves covering up deaths. I won't let them be raised by people who value profit over human life." She looked directly into the camera then, her gaze intense. "I've made arrangements with my attorney Rebecca Chen for temporary guardianship. If you're watching this, those arrangements have been activated. Please understand what I'm asking of you. Not just protection for my daughters, but partnership in exposing the truth about Vandermed before more people die." She glanced away, composing herself, then faced the camera again. "My daughters may seem unusually mature and adaptable. We've moved frequently over the past year, living under different names. They've learned to be cautious, to leave quickly, to trust no one. But beneath that, they're still children who need stability and love." Victoria's eyes glistened. "Sophia loves music. She can listen to the same song for hours, memorizing every word. Olivia collects rocks, and she can tell you the geological history of ordinary pebbles with extraordinary precision. They both sleep with stuffed elephants named Ellie and Trunk. They both hate Brussels sprouts, but will eat them if you call them tiny cabbages." Thomas felt something catch in his throat as Victoria shared these intimate details, the small, precious facts that made her daughters unique individuals, rather than just victims of circumstance. "I don't know when I'll see them again," Victoria continued, her composure finally breaking. "I've told them I need to finish important work, that I'll come back when it's safe. I need you to help me keep that promise. Help me create a world where they can be safe." She wiped a tear quickly. "They are my heart, walking outside my body." Please keep them safe until I can hold them again." The video ended, freezing on Victoria's determined face. Thomas removed the headphones, aware of Jones watching him from the kitchen and the twins still drawing peacefully in the living room. "So?" Jones asked quietly. "Is it legitimate?" Thomas nodded slowly. "Everything checks out. Vandermed is hiding evidence of fatal side effects from a drug that's already on the market. Victoria Vandermeer discovered it, and now she's disappeared. And somehow, I've become the legal guardian of billionaire twins with a target on their backs." Jones turned back to the pasta sauce he was stirring. "Seems about right. You always did find the most complicated ways to help people." "It's not funny, Jones. Did I say I was joking?" Jones tasted the sauce, added a pinch of salt. "You know what those girls remind me of? Those kids in that village near Kandahar. The ones you insisted on checking on after every patrol. The ones who finally started smiling again because one stubborn Marine kept showing up with chocolate and soccer balls." Thomas felt a flash of the old pain. "Those children died, Jones. The village was bombed 3 days after we pulled out." "Not all of them," Jones said quietly. "The older boy, Fahim, he made it out. I work as a translator for the embassy now. Still has that soccer ball you gave him." At Thomas's startled look, he added, "He found me on Facebook last year, asked about you." Before Thomas could process this revelation, Sophia appeared at his elbow holding up a drawing. "For you," she said simply. The picture showed 3 stick figures holding hands, a tall one in the middle and 2 smaller ones on either side. All had smiling faces. Behind them was a simple house with a door and windows. Above them, a bright yellow sun shone down. "That's you," she pointed to the tall figure. "And that's me and Olivia at our new house." Thomas accepted the drawing with careful hands. "It's beautiful," he said, his voice rougher than he intended. "Thank you." Olivia appeared with her own drawing nearly identical, but with the addition of a dog beside the house. "Sergeant Jones said maybe we could get a dog someday," she explained, "like his dog Ranger." "These are going right on the refrigerator," Jones declared, taking both drawings and securing them with magnets. "Best artwork this kitchen has ever seen." As they sat down to dinner, the twins perched on cushions to reach the table properly, Jones serving pasta with exaggerated ceremony that made them giggle. Thomas found himself in unfamiliar emotional territory, not the adrenaline clarity of combat or the numb isolation of his post-deployment existence, but something warmer and more fundamental. These children, with their serious eyes and unexpected moments of ordinary childhood, had bypassed all his carefully constructed defenses. They had connected with something in him he'd thought long buried in Afghanistan, the part of him that believed protection meant more than just preventing physical harm. The part that understood sometimes safety was as simple as a hand to hold or a drawing on a refrigerator. As he helped Olivia twirl spaghetti onto her fork and listened to Sophia solemnly explain the chemical composition of the Parmesan cheese Jones had offered, Thomas realized he had crossed a line. These weren't just children he was protecting as part of a mission. They were Sophia and Olivia individuals with preferences and personalities, and stuffed elephants named Ellie and Trunk. And somehow, in the space of a single day, they had become his responsibility in ways that went far beyond legal guardianship. Papers and corporate conspiracies, they had become his kids. Dawn filtered through unfamiliar blinds, painting Jones's spare bedroom in bands of gold. Thomas woke instantly alert, a habit formed through years of military service and cemented by combat deployments. For a disorienting moment, he couldn't place the weight against his side or the soft sounds of breathing nearby. Then, memory rushed back. The twins lay curled on either side of him, having migrated from their carefully arranged positions at the edges of the bed. Sometime during the night, they had gravitated toward him, like small satellites pulled by gravity, seeking warmth and security, even in sleep. Sophia's dark curls tickled his arm, her small hand clutching the sleeve of his t-shirt. Olivia had tucked herself against his other side, her stuffed elephant squashed between them. Their faces in sleep looked younger, more vulnerable to the careful composure they maintained while awake, momentarily abandoned. Thomas lay still, unwilling to disturb their rest. Through the thin walls, he could hear Jones moving in the kitchen, the quiet domestic sounds of coffee brewing and cupboards opening. His mind replayed the previous day's events: the hospital waiting room, Victoria's letter, the meeting with Rebecca, Chen, the guardianship papers now stored securely in Jones's fireproof lockbox. The reality of his situation settled over him with the weight of tactical body armor. He was now responsible for twin 4-year-olds while their billionaire mother was missing and potentially in danger. Olivia stirred first, her eyes opening with the immediate awareness that reminded Thomas painfully of children in war zones. No gradual transition from sleep, just instant vigilance. "Good morning," she whispered, careful not to wake her sister. "Morning," Thomas whispered back. "Did you sleep okay?" She nodded, then asked with the directness of a child, "Are we staying here today?" The question carried layers of meaning Thomas was beginning to understand. These girls had learned to track their safety through location, to measure security, in terms of movement or stillness. "For a little while," he answered honestly. "We need to make some plans." Sophia woke then, her eyes finding Thomas's face immediately, as if confirming he was still there. "Is Mommy coming today?" she asked, hope and doubt warring in her voice. Thomas felt the weight of truth pressing against the instinct to protect. "Not today," he said gently, "but we're going to figure out how to help her, okay?" Both girls nodded with a solemn acceptance that twisted something in Thomas's chest. Children their age should protest disappointments, should demand explanations, should express frustration. This quiet resignation spoke volumes about what the past year had taught them. Jones had prepared breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast cut into triangles, and sliced fruit arranged in a smiley face pattern that seemed at odds with his gruff exterior. The twins ate methodically, thanking Jones with formal politeness that made him exchange concerned glances with Thomas. "So, what's the plan?" Jones asked when the girls were occupied with the picture books he'd mysteriously produced from a closet. Thomas sipped his coffee, savoring the bitter clarity it provided. "I need to understand what we're dealing with. The USB drive has evidence of corporate wrongdoing, but it doesn't explain why Victoria went to these lengths to protect the twins. There's something more, something she either couldn't put in writing or didn't know when she recorded that message. You think there's a bigger threat than just the company trying to silence a whistleblower? I think a woman like Victoria Vandermeer, with her resources and connections, wouldn't go into hiding and separate from her children unless the threat was immediate and personal." Thomas lowered his voice further. "I think she discovered something worse than falsified trial data." Jones considered this. "You need to talk to the lawyer again." "Yes, and I need to access that safety deposit box Victoria mentioned in her letter." Thomas glanced at the twins. "But I can't take them with me. It's too exposed." "They can stay here with me," Jones offered. "Gym's closed for maintenance today. We can work on their right hooks." At Thomas's hesitation, he added, "Marine to Marine. I've got your 6 on this." Thomas nodded, grateful yet wary of the expanding circle of involvement. "If anyone comes looking, I know the drill," Jones assured him. "Back exit, go to ground, call the burner phone. These kids don't leave my sight." After breakfast, Thomas sat with the twins to explain the plan. He was learning that direct honesty, appropriately filtered for their age, worked best with them. "I need to meet with Miss Chen again today," he told them. "You'll stay here with Sergeant Jones. It's safe, and I'll be back before dinner." "To make plans for finding Mommy?" Sophia asked. "Yes, that's why I need to go." Olivia studied his face with unusual intensity for a 4-year-old. The bad people might be looking for us now. It wasn't a question, and her matter-of-fact assessment sent a chill through Thomas. Probably, he acknowledged. But they don't know about Sergeant Jones or this place. You're safe here. We know. About being quiet and hiding, Sophia said, as if offering reassurance. Mummy taught us games for staying silent, like statues, Olivia added. We can be statues for hours. Thomas exchanged a pained look with Jones, who had overheard this exchange. What kind of life had these children been living? Practicing stillness and silence as survival skills? You don't need to be statues today, Thomas told them gently. Just be kids, draw pictures, read books, learn more boxing if you want. But quiet boxing, Sophia clarified seriously, looking to Jones for confirmation. Jones knelt down to their level, his large frame becoming less intimidating as he brought himself to their height. How about this today? We practice normal kid stuff, regular voices, regular playing. If we need to be super quiet, I know a special Marine signal. He demonstrated a simple hand gesture, but unless you see that signal, you can just be regular kids. Deal? The twins considered this proposal with matching expressions of cautious interest. Deal, they finally agreed in unison. An hour later, Thomas prepared to leave, having changed into clothes borrowed from Jones as a precaution against being recognized in the same outfit from the hospital security footage. Rebecca Chen had agreed to meet him at a small legal office in Brooklyn, away from her main practice. Before leaving, Thomas crouched before the twins, who stood side by side watching him with those unnervingly serious eyes. I'll be back soon, he promised. You can call me on Sergeant Jones's phone if you need anything, okay? Instead of simply nodding, Sophia stepped forward and wrapped her arms around his neck in a fierce hug. Olivia followed immediately, creating a tangle of small arms and dark curls against his chest. Thomas froze briefly, then carefully returned the embrace, something tight and painful unwinding in his chest. Be careful of the bad people, Olivia whispered. Marines are always careful, he assured her, his voice rougher than intended. As he straightened, Jones handed him a loaded backpack. Burner phone, change of clothes, cash, first aid kit. Force of habit, he added at Thomas's raised eyebrow. Once a Marine. Always a Marine, Thomas finished the familiar phrase. Thanks, Jones. I owe you. Just doing my part for the next generation. Of fighters, Jones replied with forced lightness, nodding toward the twins who had returned to their drawings, though they cast frequent glances toward the door. As Thomas stepped onto the street, adjusting to civilian clothes that felt strangely vulnerable after years in uniform and then security attire, he found his combat instincts sharpening. His eyes tracked movement patterns of pedestrians, noted vehicles that lingered too long, identified potential choke points and exit routes. He'd operated in hostile territory before, but never with stakes that felt so personal. The twins' faces appeared in his mind, their solemn expressions, their careful politeness, the way they had hugged him goodbye, as if memorizing the feel of him in case he didn't return. Children who had learned to be statues, children who understood concepts like bad people and hiding, children who expected the adults in their lives to disappear. Thomas checked his watch as he descended into the subway station, mentally calculating routes and transfer times to reach the Brooklyn address. Whatever Victoria Vandermeer had discovered about Vandermed was serious enough to tear her away from daughters she clearly adored. Serious enough to create elaborate contingency plans and legal maneuvers. Serious enough, perhaps, to get her killed. As the subway car rattled toward Brooklyn, Thomas made a silent promise to the twins, to their missing mother, and to himself. He would uncover the truth. He would protect these children, and he would find Victoria Vandermeer, whether she was in hiding or in danger, and bring her back to the daughters who needed her. It wasn't just a mission anymore. It was a promise And Thomas Riley had never broken a promise, not in 15 years as a Marine, not in 3 years as a wounded veteran seeking purpose. He wouldn't start now. The Brooklyn afternoon had turned, overcast by the time Thomas emerged from Rebecca Chen's office, his mind processing the troubling information she'd shared. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, mirroring the storm brewing around the Vandermeer fortune and the 2 small girls now in his care. He pulled the collar of Jones's borrowed jacket higher as he navigated the subway entrance, constantly scanning for the surveillance operatives Rebecca had identified in the photographs. Former special ops or intelligence, she'd said. Professionals who knew how to blend in, how to track targets, how to apply pressure without leaving evidence. The safety deposit box key felt heavy in his pocket. According to Rebecca, the box was located at Manhattan Trust Bank on Madison Avenue, a prestigious institution that catered to high-net-worth clients. Victoria had arranged access through special legal provisions, ensuring the guardian of her children could retrieve the contents without bureaucratic interference. The box contains insurance, Rebecca had explained. Victoria didn't tell me exactly what's inside, but she called it her nuclear option evidence so damning that even Elliot couldn't survive its release. Thomas's burner phone vibrated as he waited on the subway platform. A text from Jones. "All quiet here. The ladies are teaching me how to make paper cranes." The message came with a photo of the twins seated at Jones' kitchen table, surrounded by colorful origami paper, their faces showing rare, unguarded concentration. The image provided momentary relief, but Thomas couldn't shake the weight of what Rebecca had revealed about the forces aligning against them. Elliot Vandermeer had not only hired private security to locate Victoria and the twins, he had filed emergency custody petitions claiming his sister was mentally unstable and had kidnapped her own children. He had frozen Victoria's personal bank accounts, though apparently not all her assets, and had issued internal memos suggesting she had stolen proprietary company information before suffering a breakdown. The train arrived and Thomas boarded, with tactical awareness, positioning himself with clear sightlines to all doors. As the subway car rattled toward Manhattan, he reviewed his options. The guardianship papers provided legal protection, but only if the courts honored them. Against a billionaire with political connections and a team of corporate lawyers, legal documents might provide only temporary shelter. His phone vibrated again. This time a text from Rebecca. "Hospital security footage on local news. Your face is clearly visible. Move quickly." Thomas felt his pulse quicken, combat instincts sharpening his focus. The timeline had accelerated. If his face was on the news, identified as the security guard who had taken the Vandermeer twins, Jones's gym wouldn't remain a safe haven for long. He changed trains twice, using counter-surveillance techniques to identify potential tails before emerging at the Madison Avenue station. The afternoon had turned prematurely dark with approaching rain, umbrellas popping open as pedestrians hurried along the sidewalks. Manhattan Trust Bank occupied the ground floor of an Art Deco building that exuded old wealth and discretion. Thomas approached cautiously, assessing security measures, cameras positioned above the entrance, a guard stationed inside the glass doors, the steady flow of well-dressed clients moving in and out. His borrowed clothes from Jones' jeans and a worn bomber jacket marked him as an outsider in this temple of privilege. But the key in his pocket and the letter from Victoria would have to bridge that gap. As he prepared to cross the street toward the bank, a black SUV with tinted windows pulled to the curb directly in front of the entrance. Thomas froze, instinctively, stepping back into the shadow of a storefront awning. Two men emerged from the vehicle, both in tailored suits, both moving with the controlled precision that Thomas recognized from his military days. Not civilians, operators. The same men from the surveillance photos outside his apartment. A third figure followed, tall, silver-haired, exuding the casual confidence of someone accustomed to deference. Even without having seen his photograph in Rebecca's files, Thomas would have recognized Elliot Vandermeer. The family resemblance to Victoria was striking, though where her features had conveyed integrity and warmth in her video message, his projected cold calculation. Thomas remained motionless, processing this development with tactical clarity. Elliot Vandermeer at the EECS, a bank that held Victoria's safety deposit box, could not be a coincidence. Somehow, he had learned about the box and its potential contents. The three men entered the bank, the security guard nodding deferentially as Elliot passed. Thomas pulled out his phone and texted Rebecca. EV at Manhattan Trust with security. How could he know about the box? Her response came seconds later. Unknown. Bank vice president is a golfing partner. Possible leak. Do not approach. Repeat. Abort. Thomas watched as rainfall began in earnest, sheets of water obscuring the bank's entrance. His window was closing. If Elliot accessed that safety deposit, box first, whatever insurance Victoria had secured would be lost. But engaging now, outnumbered and outgunned, would be tactically unsound. More importantly, it would risk the security of the twins. If Thomas was detained or exposed, Sophia and Olivia would lose their protection. His phone vibrated again with an incoming call. Jones. We've got company, Jones said without preamble, his voice low and tight. Black sedan circling the block. 2 men, suits, military haircuts. I've implemented the exit protocol, moving to a secondary location with precious cargo. Thomas felt ice in his veins. How did they find you? Unknown, but I'm not waiting to ask. We're moving now. We'll contact you when secure. The call ended. Thomas remained frozen for 3 heartbeats, rain soaking through his borrowed jacket as he processed this critical escalation. The twins were on the move. Jones was initiating their emergency extraction plan, and Elliot Vandermeer stood between Thomas and the evidence that might protect them all. In that moment, Thomas Riley made the decision that would irrevocably alter the course of this mission. The safety deposit box would have to wait. The twins needed him now. He turned away from the bank and disappeared into the rainy Manhattan afternoon, already calculating the fastest route to Jones's fallback position, a Marines Brothers cabin. In the Catskills, 3 hours north and off any digital grid, the game had changed. They were no longer simply investigating or hiding. They were running. The Catskills unfolded before them in waves of deep green, mist clinging to the valleys between ridges like spirits reluctant to depart. Thomas navigated the borrowed pickup truck along winding roads that grew progressively narrower and less maintained, each mile taking them further from cell reception and digital footprints. Rain tapped steadily on the roof, creating a hypnotic rhythm that had lulled the twins to sleep in the back seat. They were curled against each other, sharing a blanket Jones had thrown into the truck during their hasty departure. Their faces in sleep revealed the children they actually were not, the solemn, prematurely mature little adults they presented. While awake, in the passenger seat, Jones maintained a vigilant watch, checking the side mirrors periodically, despite no signs of pursuit for the last hour. You sure your brother won't mind us showing up unannounced? Thomas asked, breaking the silence that had stretched between them since leaving the city limits. Jones shifted, his right hand never straying far from the concealed firearm at his waist, a precaution Thomas had not questioned. Mike's been deployed to Germany for 6 months, told me to use the cabin whenever. Besides, no one knows about this place except family. Family. The word hung in the air between them. Once, their unit had been family brothers forged in the crucible of combat, bound by experiences civilians could never understand. Now Thomas was responsible for a different kind of family, 2 small girls who had been thrust into his care through extraordinary circumstances. How did they find your gym? Thomas asked, the question that had been gnawing at him since Jones's urgent call. Professional work, Jones replied grimly. No digital trail, which means human intelligence. Someone followed you, or they had resources we didn't anticipate. Elliot Vandermeer has bottomless resources, Thomas said, and we underestimated how quickly he'd move. The truck rounded a bend, revealing a narrow dirt road nearly hidden by overgrown foliage. Jones pointed, and Thomas turned, the vehicle bouncing over ruts and protruding roots as they climbed higher into the mountains. Mike's place is just ahead, Jones said. Off-grid, solar-powered, well water. No internet, no landline. We'll be ghosts up here. The cabin emerged from the trees, a sturdy structure of weathered logs and a metal roof, more functional than picturesque. A covered porch wrapped around 3 sides, offering shelter from rain and snow depending on the season. It sat in a small clearing with dense forest behind it and a view of the valley below from the front. Thomas parked beside the woodshed and turned to wake the twins, but found them already alert, their eyes taking in the unfamiliar surroundings with cautious assessment. Is this our new hiding place? Sophia asked, no trace of sleep in her voice. For now, Thomas answered honestly, it's safe here. The twins nodded in unison, accepting this latest displacement with the unsettling adaptability he was coming to, recognized as a symptom of their disrupted lives. Inside, the cabin was surprisingly comfortable. A main room with a stone fireplace, basic kitchen with propane stove, 2 bedrooms, and a bathroom with modern fixtures that seemed at odds with the rustic exterior. Someone, presumably Mike, had left the place meticulously organized, with labeled supplies and emergency protocols posted beside the door. Once a Marine, Jones said, following Thomas's gaze to the laminated evacuation procedures. Always a Marine, Thomas completed the familiar refrain. The twins explored the cabin with careful curiosity, moving together as they always did, never straying far from each other. They examined the fireplace, the bookshelves stocked with paperbacks and board games, the kitchen with its hand pump at the sink. Like in the olden days, Olivia observed, testing the water pump with delicate fascination. Can we stay here until Mommy comes? Sophia asked, turning to Thomas with that direct gaze that seemed to demand absolute honesty. Thomas crouched to their level, his knee protesting, but the importance of eye contact outweighing physical discomfort. We'll stay as long as we need. And 2, he said carefully, but I still need to help find your mom. That means I might need to leave sometimes to work with Ms. Chen. The twins absorbed this information with matching expressions of solemn consideration. The bad people are still looking for us, Olivia stated, not a question, but a fact she had accepted as part of her reality. Yes, Thomas acknowledged, seeing no point in shielding them from a truth they clearly understood. But they don't know about this place. Mommy said the same thing about the lake house, Sophia said quietly, but they found us anyway. The simple statement hit Thomas with unexpected force. These children had experienced pursuit before, had thought themselves safe only to be discovered. Their trust, already a fragile, precious thing, had been repeatedly tested by broken promises of security. This time is different, Thomas said with conviction. This time you have 2 Marines protecting you. Jones, who had been securing the perimeter, stepped inside and caught the tail end of this conversation. Damn straight, he affirmed, deliberately lightening his tone. Plus, I bought supplies for a proper campout. Who wants to help me build a fire? The twins perked up at this suggestion, momentarily distracted from the gravity of their situation by the simple childhood appeal of a campfire. As Jones guided them through the process of arranging kindling and small logs in the fireplace, transforming the task into an engaging lesson on fire safety, Thomas stepped onto the porch to gather his thoughts. The rain had softened to a gentle mist, casting the forest in ethereal gauze. From this elevation, the valley spread before him in undulating shades of green, civilization reduced to distant pinpricks of light as evening settled over the mountains. He leaned against the railing, feeling the solid wood beneath his palms, real, tangible, present in a way that the abstract threats they faced were not. The weight of responsibility pressed against his chest, not entirely unpleasant, but profoundly consequential. 2 days ago, he had been a night security guard with a damaged knee and fractured spirit. Now he stood as guardian to twin heiresses, opposing one of the wealthiest men in America, pursuing a mother who had vanished, leaving only cryptic clues and legal documents. The screen door creaked, and Thomas turned to find Olivia standing in the doorway, her stuffed elephant clutched to her chest. "Sergeant Jones says dinner is soon," she reported. "We helped make sandwiches." "I'll be right in," Thomas assured her, but instead of returning inside, Olivia stepped onto the porch and moved to stand beside him, her small presence somehow both fragile and resilient as she gazed out at the darkening forest. "It's pretty here," she observed quietly. "There are lots of rocks. I like rocks." Thomas remembered Victoria's video message. Olivia collects rocks, and she can tell you the geological history of ordinary pebbles with extraordinary precision. "Maybe tomorrow we can look for some interesting ones," he suggested. Olivia's face brightened momentarily, then settled back into its characteristic seriousness. "Mr. Thomas, are you scared of the bad people?" The question, delivered with such directness, demanded equal honesty. "Not for myself," he answered carefully, "but I worry about keeping you and your sister safe." She nodded, absorbing this distinction. "Mommy was scared too. She tried to hide it, but we could tell." She looked up at him with eyes that reflected wisdom beyond her years. "It's okay to be scared sometimes. That's what bravery means, doing things, even when you're scared." The simple profundity of this statement, coming from a 4-year-old who had clearly internalized it through harsh experience, caught Thomas off guard. He felt something shift inside him, not the tactical clarity of combat or the numbing isolation of his post-deployment existence, but something warmer and more fundamental. "Your mum sounds very wise," he said. "She is," Olivia affirmed with absolute certainty. "She said someone good would find us, and you did." Before Thomas could respond to this declaration of faith, Jones called from inside, announcing dinner. Olivia turned toward the door, then paused, looking back at Thomas. "Are you coming?" she asked, extending her small hand toward him. Thomas took her offered hand, marveling at the trust contained in that simple gesture. Together, they walked back into the cabin's warm light, where Sophia was carefully arranging plates on the table and Jones was pouring milk into mismatched mugs. The scene struck Thomas with unexpected poignancy. This improvised family in a borrowed cabin, creating normalcy amid extraordinary circumstances. It wasn't the life he had imagined for himself post-deployment, but standing there with Olivia's hand in his, watching Sophia meticulously align the silverware with concentration more suited to diffusing explosives, he felt something long dormant, reawakened, purpose. Not the adrenaline-fueled purpose of combat missions, but something quieter and more enduring. These children needed him not just for protection, but for stability, for honesty, for the reassurance that not all adults disappeared when danger threatened. Outside, the mist continued to veil the mountains in shifting layers of gray, obscuring boundaries between earth and sky. Inside, a different kind of transformation was occurring, subtle but no less profound, as 4 disparate lives reconfigured around a shared mission and unexpected connections. The early morning sun filtered through pine branches, casting dappled light across the cabin's wooden floor. Thomas sat at the small kitchen table, a map of the region spread before him, marking alternative routes and potential extraction points, old habits from his military days now applied to civilian survival. 4 days had passed since their arrival at the cabin. 4 days of careful routine morning walks to collect Olivia's rocks, afternoon reading sessions from the cabin's dusty library, evenings by the fireplace where the twins gradually relaxed enough to giggle at Jones's exaggerated stories of marine misadventures, carefully edited for 4-year-old ears. 4 days of no contact with the outside world, no updates from Rebecca Chen, no progress in finding Victoria Vandermeer. The satellite phone of Jones's brother's emergency backup sat silent on the counter. Their agreement with Rebecca was minimal contact, using the phone only at scheduled intervals to avoid detection. Today's call was scheduled for noon. Thomas circled another potential exit route on the map when he heard soft footsteps on the stairs. Sophia appeared in the doorway, hair tousled from sleep, clutching Ellie the elephant. "Good morning," she said, with characteristic formality. "Is it Pancake Day?" Thomas smiled. They had established Pancake Day as a cabin tradition, a small ritual to provide structure in the chaos of their situation. "It is indeed Pancake Day. Want to help?" Sophia nodded solemnly and dragged a chair to the counter. Unlike her sisters' interest in geology, Sophia had developed a fascination with cooking, watching intently as Thomas measured ingredients and explained each step. "My knee hurts when it's going to rain," Thomas commented as they mixed batter, noticing the gathering. "Clouds through the window," Sophia nodded. "Like Mommy's wrist. It got hurt when she was little, and it tells her about the weather too." Thomas paused, absorbing this casual mention of Victoria. The twins rarely volunteered information about their mother unprompted. "Your mom hurt her wrist? Falling off a horse," Sophia said, carefully adding blueberries to the batter. "At the big house, she has a scar like a lightning bolt." Thomas filed this information away as another small piece of the puzzle that was Victoria Vandermeer. Another detail that made her more than just a wealthy heiress or corporate whistleblower. A woman with a lightning bolt scar who could predict rain with her wrist. By the time Olivia and Jones appeared, breakfast was ready. The twins ate with unexpected enthusiasm, their initial reserve gradually softening as days passed. Jones kept up a steady stream of cheerful conversation, but Thomas noticed his frequent glances toward the silent satellite phone. "I was thinking," Jones said as they cleared dishes, "we could teach the girls how to fish today. Mike keeps poles in the shed and the stream's full of trout." The suggestion was perfectly innocent, but Thomas caught the subtle head tilt toward the phone. Jones was proposing an activity that would take the twins away from the cabin during the scheduled call with Rebecca. "That sounds great," Thomas agreed. "What do you think, girls? Want to learn how to catch your dinner?" The twins exchanged one of their silent communications, then nodded in unison. "Can we still collect rocks by the water?" Olivia asked. "Absolutely," Jones assured her. "Best rocks are by streams." An hour later, Thomas stood alone on the cabin porch, watching Jones lead the twins down the path toward the stream, fishing poles balanced on his shoulder, the girls skipping occasionally between careful observations of their surroundings. Their matching blue sweaters, purchased during a hasty supply run before leaving the city, made them look like ordinary children on a camping trip, not heiresses in hiding. At precisely noon, the satellite phone vibrated. Thomas answered with military brevity. "Secure. It's me," Rebecca's voice came through, tense but clear. "We have a situation. I'm sending coordinates to the phone's GPS. Can you meet me there at 1600 hours today?" Thomas frowned. Meeting in person wasn't the protocol. Protocols changed. "I've found Victoria." His grip tightened on the phone. "Alive?" "Yes, but in danger. She's been hiding at a research colleague's lake house in the Adirondacks. Elliot's men tracked her there yesterday. She managed to escape but left behind critical evidence we needed." Why not go to the authorities now? We have the guardianship papers, the USB drive. It's not enough, Rebecca cut in. Elliot has filed a temporary restraining order against me, claiming attorney misconduct. He's got judges in his pocket, Thomas. Without Victoria's physical presence and the additional evidence at the lake house, we can't guarantee the twins' safety. Thomas processed this with tactical efficiency. The coordinates, how far? About 2 hours from your location. Come alone. We'll retrieve what Victoria left behind, then escort her to a secure location where you can bring the twins. This ends today. The call ended abruptly. Thomas stared at the coordinates now displayed on the phone screen at a location deep in the Adirondack Forest near the Canadian border. Something about the situation raised his combat instincts, a subliminal warning flashing in his mind. Bringing the twins into an uncertain extraction was tactically unsound. Leaving them behind with Jones while he met Rebecca carried its own risks. Either choice required trust in Rebecca, in Jones, in his own judgment. When Jones returned with the twins 2 hours later, empty of fish, but with pockets full of special rocks and cheeks flushed from outdoor exercise, Thomas had made his decision. "We need to talk," he told Jones quietly, while the twins sorted their rock collection on the porch. Inside, Thomas explained Rebecca's call, the claimed discovery of Victoria, the requested meeting. Jones listened with the focused attention of a fellow operator assessing mission parameters. "It's thin," Jones said finally. "Meeting in remote territory, last-minute change of protocol, vague details about this evidence. Classic ambush setup." "I know," Thomas agreed. "But if Victoria is really there, then her daughters need their guardian here, protecting them." Jones's tone was firm. "Let me go. I'll assess the situation, verify Victoria's identity, and report back." Thomas shook his head. "Victoria chose me. She doesn't know you. If this is legitimate, she'll only trust her daughters to the guardian she selected. And if it's a trap, then I need you here with the twins as a contingency plan. If I don't return or contact you by midnight, take them to the Canadian border. My service buddy, Ryan Thompson, works border patrol at the crossing near Plattsburgh. He'll help you through without documentation." Jones held his gaze, the weight of 15 years of shared military experience between them. "You're walking into uncertain territory without proper intel or backup. Wouldn't be the first time," Thomas replied with a grim smile. "No," Jones conceded, "but it would be the first time with this much at stake." He nodded toward the porch, where the twins continued their serious geological categorization. Thomas followed his gaze, watching Sophia carefully label a small stone with a marker while Olivia arranged others by size and color. In just days, they had worked their way into his heart with their solemn resilience and occasional flashes of ordinary childhood joy. "That's why I have to go," he said quietly. "They deserve to have their mother back." The conversation with the twins was the hardest part. Thomas sat them down in the living room, choosing honest simplicity over comforting. "Lies. I need to go meet someone who might know where your mom is," he explained. "I'll be back tonight, but Sergeant Jones will stay with you." Their matching expressions shifted from curiosity to concern. "Is it the bad people?" Olivia asked. "No," Thomas assured her, though the possibility hung unspoken between the adults. "It's Ms. Chen. She thinks she found your mom." Sophia's eyes widened. "Can we come too?" "Not yet. First, I need to make sure everything is safe." Thomas looked between their identical faces, seeing both hope and fear warring in their expressions. "I promise I'll come back." The twins exchanged one of their silent communications. Then Sophia reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, smooth stone, pale blue, with a streak of white quartz running through it. "For protection," she said solemnly, placing it in Thomas's palm. "It's a special one." Olivia followed suit, adding a dark green stone with flecks of gold. "This one is for finding things," she explained, "like Mommy." Thomas accepted the stones with appropriate gravity, tucking them into his jacket pocket alongside the satellite phone. "I'll keep them safe," he promised, "and I'll be back before you know it." As he prepared to leave in Jones's truck, gathering supplies and reviewing maps, Thomas felt the weight of the decision pressing upon him. Walking away from the twins, even temporarily, felt wrong on a fundamental level. Yet finding Victoria, confirming she was alive, retrieving whatever evidence she had secured, was crucial to ensuring their long-term safety. The final image, as he drove away the twins, standing on the porch beside Jones, small hands raised in farewell, burned itself into his memory. A promise to keep, a mission to complete, a family to reunite. What Thomas couldn't know, as the truck wound down the mountain road toward the coordinates Rebecca had provided, was that 30 miles away, in a sleek black SUV headed in the same direction, Elliot Vandermeer studied a satellite image of the cabin they had just left, a thin smile playing across features so similar, yet so unlike his sister's. The confrontation was coming, but not in the way anyone had anticipated. The Adirondack forest deepened around Thomas as he navigated the borrowed truck along increasingly remote logging roads. Afternoon shadows stretched between ancient pines, the dense canopy occasionally breaking to reveal glimpses of mountains painted in autumn's early palette. Under different circumstances, he might have appreciated the rugged beauty. Now, his combat senses catalogued each curve in the road as a potential ambush point, each ridge as a possible sniper position. The GPS coordinates led to a clearing beside, a small lake, the water's surface rippling with the approaching evening breeze. A modest cabin perched at the water's edge, weathered cedar shingles blending with the surrounding forest. No vehicles visible, no movement at the windows. Nothing to indicate whether this was a reunion or a trap. Thomas parked the truck facing the exit road, standard tactical positioning for quick departure. He sat for several minutes, observing the scene from a distance, searching for the telltale signs of surveillance or ambush preparation. Only the natural sounds of the forest reached him, whined through pines, bird calls, the gentle lapping of water against the shoreline. The satellite phone remained silent in his pocket. Alongside the twins' protective stones, he checked his watch at 15:47. 13 minutes until the scheduled meeting. With practiced efficiency, Thomas conducted a final equipment check. The hunting knife was secured at his ankle, the first aid kit in his jacket, the satellite phone with Jones's number programmed for emergency speed dial. No firearm, a calculated decision based on legal considerations and the uncertainty of what awaited him. At precisely 15:55, a vehicle approached from the opposite access road, a dark blue sedan with rental plates. It parked at a cautious distance from the cabin. Rebecca Chen emerged from the driver's side, her usual professional attire replaced by practical hiking clothes and boots. She scanned the clearing before spotting Thomas's truck. No one else exited the vehicle. Thomas waited watching as Rebecca walked slowly toward the center of the clearing, her hands visible at her sides, a deliberate signal that she understood his caution. He exited his truck with matching deliberation, keeping the vehicle between them until he confirmed she was alone. "Where's Victoria?" he called, maintaining distance. "Inside the cabin," Rebecca replied. "She's been injured. Not severely, but she's weak." She asked to see proof the twins are safe before showing herself. Thomas studied her face for signs of deception. "You said Elliot's men tracked her here." "They did, yesterday. She escaped during the confrontation, but not before hiding key evidence. In the cabin, she contacted me from a burner phone once she reached safety." Rebecca gestured toward the cabin. The evidence is inside financial records proving Elliot diverted research funds, falsified clinical trial data, and most importantly, internal memos showing he knew about Nuravex's liver toxicity before bringing it to market. And Victoria, in a secure location nearby. I'm to bring you to her after we retrieve the evidence. Rebecca met his gaze directly. She needs to see something that proves the twins are safe. Do you have photos? Something they've drawn? Thomas reached into his pocket and withdrew a folded paper, a drawing Sophia had made, showing two small figures beside a cabin, labeled in careful 4-year-old handwriting, waiting for mommy. He'd brought it specifically for this purpose. Rebecca nodded approvingly. Perfect. Let's get the evidence and then reunite this family. They approached the cabin together, Thomas maintaining a vigilant perimeter scan. The door was unlocked, another detail that heightened his alertness. Inside, the space showed signs of recent hasty departure. A mug of cold coffee on the table, a laptop charging cable without its computer, a half-eaten sandwich. Victoria said she hid the documents inside a hollowed book on the shelf. Rebecca explained, moving toward the bookcase that dominated one wall. An old copy of The Secret Garden was her favorite as a child. Thomas remained by the door, his instincts still signaling caution. You seem to know a lot about Victoria's childhood preferences. I've represented her for 3 years, Rebecca replied, scanning the shelves. You learn personal details when you work that closely with someone. Something in her tone, a slight hesitation, perhaps triggered Thomas's internal alarm. A detail surfaced from his conversation with Sophia that morning. Victoria had a scar like a lightning bolt on her wrist from falling off a horse as a child. Did Victoria ever mention her childhood accident? Thomas asked casually, moving deeper into the cabin. The one that left the scar? Rebecca continued searching the shelves. Of course, the car accident when she was 12. Her father was driving. Traumatic for her. Wrong. The alarm bells in Thomas's mind crescendoed. Rebecca, he said evenly. Where exactly did you say Victoria's waiting? The attorney turned, a book in her hands, her expression shifting subtly. Before she could answer, the sound of approaching vehicles shattered the forest with multiple engines, moving at speed. Thomas was at the window in 2 strides, tactical assessment immediate. 3 black SUVs converging on the clearing, men in tactical gear deploying with professional precision. And emerging from the lead vehicle, his silver hair catching the late afternoon sun, Elliot Vandermeer. You sold us out, Thomas stated flatly, turning back to Rebecca. Her face showed genuine regret. They have Victoria, Thomas. They found her 3 days ago. They'll kill her if I don't deliver the twins. She held up a phone displaying a photo of Victoria bound, bruised, but alive. Elliot just wants his nieces. They're Vandermeers. They belong with their family. They belong with their mother, Thomas countered, already calculating escape routes. The back door would lead toward the lake, possibly a defensive position, but a natural trap with water-blocking retreat. Their mother is a paranoid whistleblower who kidnapped her own children and disappeared for a year, Rebecca said, her professional composure cracking. Do you have any idea what Elliot Vandermeer can do to someone who crosses him? To their own family, their career? The pieces clicked into place. He threatened you, or someone you care about. Rebecca's silence was enough. Outside, Elliot's voice carried through a megaphone. Mr. Riley, I know you're inside. Let's discuss this situation. Like reasonable men. No one needs to get hurt today. Thomas met Rebecca's gaze. Where is Victoria really being held? A private facility upstate. Medical monitoring, but essentially detention. She's alive, Thomas. That's more than most people get when they challenge. The Vandermeers. The satellite phone vibrated in Thomas's pocket, Jones's emergency signal. The world seemed to freeze as Thomas processed the implications. The only reason Jones would break protocol was if the twins were in immediate danger. They'd found the cabin. Somehow, Elliot's men had located both locations simultaneously. "Tell me you didn't give them the cabin coordinates," Thomas said, already knowing the answer from Rebecca's expression. "I'm sorry, Thomas, truly, but this was always going to end one way. The Vandermeers always win." Through the window, Thomas could see the tactical team establishing a perimeter, cutting off all obvious escape routes. Elliot Vandermeer stood confidently. Beside the lead SUV, a man accustomed to orchestrating outcomes from a position of safety. In that moment, something shifted within Thomas Riley, a clarity of purpose sharper than any he'd experienced in combat. The mission had evolved. No longer was he simply protecting the twins or finding their mother. Now he was fighting for a new equilibrium, a world where wealth and power didn't determine who deserved protection, where promises made to children were kept regardless of cost. "No," he said quietly. "Not this time." In one fluid motion, Thomas disabled the cabin's main circuit breaker, plunging the space into sudden twilight. Rebecca gasped as he moved past her toward the back door, grabbing essential supplies from his pack. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "Changing the game." He answered, "Tell Elliot I'll meet his terms. The twins for Victoria, neutral ground, the old fire lookout tower on Mason Ridge, tomorrow at noon." He won't agree to that. He has all the leverage. He'll agree because it's his only chance to end this cleanly. Thomas paused at the door. "And Rebecca, if anything happens to those girls or to Jones because of your coordinates, no private security team in the world will be enough to protect Elliot Vandermeer from what comes next." Before she could respond, Thomas slipped through the back door and disappeared into the forest's deepening shadows, already activating the satellite phone to warn Jones. The twins' stones pressed against his palm, one for protection, one for finding things. He would need both where he was going. Back at the mountain cabin, Jones had already initiated evacuation procedures. The twins' few belongings packed in seconds, the emergency backpacks he'd prepared days earlier ready by the door. The warning had come not from Thomas's call, but from the security system. Mike had installed motion sensors half a mile down the access road, detecting approaching vehicles. "Remember our special marine game?" Jones asked the twins, who stood side by side with matching expressions of solemn understanding. "It's time to play. Very quiet, very fast, just like we practiced." Sophia nodded, already reaching for her sister's hand. "The hidden path behind the woodshed?" "Exactly," Jones confirmed, impressed by her recall of their emergency drills exercises he'd presented as games, but which the twins had approached with characteristic seriousness. "Thomas will meet us at the special place." As headlights became visible through the trees, Jones led the twins through the cabin's concealed back exit and into the forest, following a trail only locals knew existed. Behind them, Elliot's men converged on an empty cabin, finding only children's drawings on the refrigerator and two small rocks deliberately left on the kitchen table, a message only Thomas would understand. The new equilibrium was taking shape, not through confrontation in the traditional sense, but through adaptation and quiet resilience, the kind of strength that bent but didn't break. The kind that 4-year-old twins had demonstrated their entire lives, the kind that Thomas Riley had rediscovered in himself since the moment he first saw two small faces looking up at him from hospital waiting room chairs. Mason Ridge rose like a sentinel above the surrounding Adirondack wilderness, its fire lookout tower a skeletal silhouette against the midday sky. Built in the 1930s and abandoned in the digital age of satellite monitoring, the structure stood as a relic of simpler times when human eyes, not algorithms, watched for threats on the horizon. Thomas arrived 2 hours early using pre-dawn darkness. to scout the location and establish multiple egress routes. The tower offered what tacticians called dominant terrain, elevated position, 360-degree visibility, and limited approach vectors that could be easily monitored. If Elliot Vandermeer planned another ambush, he would find it significantly more challenging than the lake cabin scenario. Now, Thomas stood at the base of the tower's metal stairs, checking his watch at 11:37 a.m. The satellite phone had remained silent since his brief communication with Jones, confirming their successful evacuation and rendezvous at the predetermined fallback position. The twins were safe, temporary shelter secured in a hunting cabin owned by another Marine from their old unit, a ghost location known only to a select brotherhood. The morning air carried autumn's crisp promise, dew still clinging to pine needles, and forest undergrowth. In the distance, a hawk circled lazily on thermal currents, hunting with patient certainty. Nature's rhythms continued, indifferent to human dramas unfolding beneath its canopy. Thomas ascended the tower stairs, each metal step ringing with hollow certainty. From the observation platform, the forest spread in all directions, undulating. Waves of green and gold, mountains rising like frozen swells on a verdant sea. He positioned himself with sight lines to all approach routes, the twins' protective stones resting in his palm like talismans. At precisely noon, dust rose from the access road of a single black SUV approaching at measured speed. No tactical team this time, no convoy of security personnel, just one vehicle that parked at the designated clearing, engine silenced but not extinguished. 3 figures emerged. Elliot Vandermeer, his silver hair catching sunlight as he surveyed the tower with obvious distaste for its rustic condition. Rebecca Chen, her professional demeanor restored but strain evident in her posture. And between them, a woman whose face Thomas instantly recognized from the video message, Victoria Vandermeer. She walked without assistance, but with the careful movements of someone recently injured. Her resemblance to the twins was striking. The same heart-shaped face, the same dark curls now pulled back in a simple ponytail, the same watchful intelligence in her eyes. She wore hiking clothes similar to Rebecca's, though hers appeared more hastily assembled. Thomas descended the tower halfway, maintaining tactical advantage while allowing visual confirmation of identities. Victoria looked up, shielding her eyes. Against the sun, her gaze finding him with laser focus. "Mr. Riley," Elliot called, his voice carrying the practiced authority of someone accustomed to command. "I believe we have matters to discuss." Thomas remained silent, assessing the situation. No visible weapons, though he assumed Elliot's driver remaining in the SUV was armed. Victoria showed signs of recent captivity, fading bruises at her wrists, a certain hollowness to her cheeks, but appeared alert and self-possessed. "Where are my daughters?" Victoria called, her voice stronger than her appearance suggested. "Safe," Thomas answered, "and they'll remain that way until I'm convinced this isn't another trap." Elliot stepped forward. "Mr. Riley, I understand your caution, but this has gone far enough. My nieces belong with their family. Whatever my sister has told you about me, about our company, save it," Thomas interrupted. "I've seen the evidence, the falsified trials, the covered-up deaths, the attempt to have Victoria declared incompetent. Corporate disputes can appear melodramatic to outsiders," Elliot replied smoothly. "Victoria's concerns about our research protocols were addressed internally. Her subsequent actions disappearing with company property and the Vandermeer heirs forced my hand. Your hand seems to include private detention facilities and armed security teams pursuing 4-year-olds, Thomas observed. Victoria took a step forward, separating herself slightly from her brother and Rebecca. "Thomas, may I call you Thomas?" At his nod, she continued, "My daughters, are they truly safe? Are they okay?" The question carried layers of maternal concern that no corporate machination could fabricate. Thomas reached into his pocket and withdrew Sophia's drawing, holding it up so Victoria could see. Her composure cracked momentarily, eyes filling with tears quickly blinked away. "They drew the cabin," she said softly. "They're waiting for me." "They miss their mother," Thomas confirmed. "They've been brave, just like you taught them to be." Victoria's gaze held his, a connection forming between strangers united by shared protection of the same precious charges. "They chose well," she said simply. Elliot made a dismissive sound. "Touching as this is, we had an agreement. The children in exchange for Victoria's freedom and safety. The terms have changed," Thomas replied evenly. "Victoria comes with me now. Your security teams stand down permanently." The evidence Victoria collected goes to the federal prosecutors Rebecca originally recommended, with additional documentation of recent events, including kidnapping and unlawful detention. "Absurd," Elliot scoffed. "You're in no position to dictate terms." "I'm in exactly that position," Thomas countered. "The twins aren't here because I anticipated another double cross. They're with people you'll never find, with instructions to take them to federal protective custody if I don't return. The evidence is already duplicated and secured in multiple locations, with dead man switches set to trigger if anything happens to Victoria, the twins, or me." Rebecca stepped forward, addressing Elliot. "He's not bluffing. I've seen how he operates." Elliot's composed facade cracked slightly. "You expect me to simply surrender? To let my sister destroy everything our family has built because of one pharmaceutical with manageable side effects?" "Manageable?" Victoria's voice cut like steel. 8 people are dead, Elliot. 16 more need liver transplants, and you knew before the drug went to market. "Acceptable risk profiles in context of overall benefit," Elliot replied mechanically. "Standard industry calculation." "There's nothing standard about hiding bodies," Thomas said quietly. The moment stretched between them, wealth and power facing. Moral certainty across a clearing in forgotten wilderness. In the distance, the hawk still circled, patient in its hunting. Victoria broke the stillness, stepping decisively away from her brother and Rebecca, moving toward the tower where Thomas stood. "I'm leaving with Mr. Riley," she stated with quiet finality. "It's over, Elliot. The board will receive everything tomorrow morning." "Victoria," Elliot began, his tone shifting to one Thomas recognized from countless negotiations, the sound of a man recalculating odds, seeking leverage in a deteriorating position. "Enough," Victoria cut him off. "For once in your life, recognize when you've lost." She continued forward, her steps gaining confidence with each meter that separated her from her brother. Thomas descended the remaining stairs to meet her, positioning himself between Victoria and the others as they reached each other. Up close, the resemblance to her daughters was even more pronounced, the same determined set to her chin that Sophia displayed when concentrating, the same observant quality to her eyes that characterized Olivia's careful assessment of rocks and people alike. "My daughters?" she asked softly. "When can I see them?" "As soon as we're clear," Thomas promised. "They're 2 hours from here. They've been waiting for you." Victoria nodded, emotions visibly warring beneath her composed exterior. "Thank you for finding them, for keeping them safe." She glanced back at Elliot, who remained frozen in calculation. "He won't stop, you know. Not permanently. It's not in his nature to lose." "I know," Thomas acknowledged, "but he'll back off long enough for the legal process to engage. Once federal prosecutors have the evidence, his resources become a liability rather than an advantage. Together, they walked to Thomas's borrowed truck, parked strategically for quick departure. Victoria paused before getting in, looking back at the brother who had ordered her captivity, at the lawyer who had betrayed her trust. "The twins asked about you every day," she called to Elliot. Their uncle, who sent them birthday presents, who carried them on his shoulders at family gatherings. That's who they remember. Her voice carried not anger, but a profound sadness. That's who you could have been, instead of this. Elliot remained silent, his expression unreadable across the distance. As they drove away, Victoria turned to Thomas. Will it work? Your plan? Jones has already contacted my friend at the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. By now, they have copies of everything from your USB drive, plus documentation of recent events. Thomas negotiated a sharp turn in the forest road. Rebecca wasn't wrong about Elliot's connections, but even powerful men have limits when federal agencies get involved. Victoria leaned back against the headrest, exhaustion finally claiming territory from adrenaline. You were a Marine, she said, not a question but a confirmation. Force recon, medical discharge 3 years ago. And now you guard hospitals and rescue abandoned children. Thomas smiled slightly. Not usually in the same week. Victoria's laugh was brief, but genuine. They're okay? Really? They're extraordinary, Thomas said honestly. Brave, intelligent, adaptable. They miss their mother terribly, but they've handled everything with remarkable resilience. Sophia's been cooking with me. Olivia's collected enough rocks to start a geological museum. Tears filled Victoria's eyes, no longer held at bay. I promised I'd come back to them. I wasn't sure I could keep that promise. They never doubted you, Thomas assured her. Not once. The remaining drive passed in comfortable silence. The forest, gradually giving way to more traveled roads, then back to remote trails as they approached the rendezvous point. Victoria grew increasingly alert, sitting forward in her seat, eyes scanning the passing landscape as if she might spot her daughters around each bend. When the hunting cabin finally came into view, smoke rising from its stone chimney, Jones's familiar figure standing guard on the porch, Thomas felt something settle in his chest. Mission parameters achieved, principles secured, family reunited. Victoria was out of the truck before it fully stopped, moving with renewed energy. The cabin door flew open at the sound of their arrival, and two small figures burst onto the porch, Sophia and Olivia, their identical faces transformed by joy as they spotted their mother. "Mommy!" The twins launched themselves down the steps and across the clearing, colliding with Victoria in a tangle of limbs and tearful exclamations. She knelt in the dirt, gathering them close, her face buried in their dark curls, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. "You came back, you came back, you came back," Sophia chanted, her usual composure abandoned in the miracle of reunion. "We waited. Just like you said," Olivia added, her small hands touching her mother's face as if confirming she was real. "I know you did, my brave, brave girls," Victoria whispered. "I'm so proud of you." Thomas stood back, exchanging a glance with Jones's. Hardened Marines unexpectedly moved by the scene before them. This moment of pure connection, of promises kept and faith rewarded, was what they had fought for in distant deserts and mountain ranges, what they continued to fight for in civilian life. Later, as dusk gathered and the small cabin filled with the domestic sounds of dinner preparation and children's laughter, Thomas stepped onto the porch for a moment of quiet reflection. The mission wasn't truly complete. Legal procedures awaited, protective measures needed establishment, lives required rebuilding, but the essential objective of reuniting a family torn apart by greed and corruption had been achieved. Jones joined him, offering a mug of coffee. "So," he said after a comfortable silence, "what happens now, Riley?" Thomas considered the question, watching as light spilled from the cabin windows, casting warm rectangles across the darkening forest floor. Inside, Victoria sat with the twins, who pressed against her sides, reading from a book they'd found on the cabin's shelves, her voice rising and falling in the cadence of a storyteller recreating magic. "Now they start over," he said, "somewhere safe, somewhere Elliot's influence can't reach. And you, Jones pressed. Back to midnight security shifts? Back to the empty apartment? Thomas felt the weight of the twin stones in his pocket, one for protection, one for finding things. He'd been carrying them since the lake cabin confrontation, these small talismans given with absolute faith that he would return. Before he could answer, the cabin door opened and Sophia stepped onto the porch, now dressed in clean pajamas, her hair damp from a recent bath. "Mr. Thomas," she said with characteristic seriousness, "Mommy wants to know if you'll stay for story time. Olivia and I think you should." Thomas exchanged a glance with Jones, who raised an eyebrow in silent question. "I'd like that," Thomas told Sophia, who nodded with satisfaction and extended her hand to lead him inside. As he allowed himself to be guided back into the cabin's warmth, Thomas realized the answer to Jones's question was taking shape not in tactical assessments or strategic planning, but in the simple act of a child reaching for his hand with complete trust. The journey had begun with an unexpected discovery in a hospital waiting room. 2 abandoned children and a mysterious letter. It had traversed mountain hideaways and lakeside confrontations, corporate corruption and familial betrayal. But its true significance lay not in dramatic confrontations or narrow escapes. It lay in the restoration of faith. The twins' faith that their mother would return, Victoria's faith that her daughters would be protected, and perhaps most surprisingly, Thomas Riley's faith that his life still held purpose beyond the wounds of war. As he settled beside the twins for story time, Olivia automatically leaned against his side, while Sophia claimed her place next to her mother. Thomas understood that some missions don't end with mission parameters achieved. Some missions evolve into connections that remain long after objectives are secured. Some missions become family. In the quiet mountain cabin, surrounded by the remnants of danger, but filled with the promise of new beginnings, 4 lives that had collided through extraordinary circumstances now orbited each other with the gravitational certainty of belonging, not by blood or legal documents, but by choice, by trust, by the courage to reach out when easier paths led elsewhere, and in that belonging, they each found something they had been missing: safety, purpose, home. If you found meaning in this story, consider sharing how it resonated with you. Whether you're watching from a bustling city or a quiet countryside, your presence here has made this journey worth telling. And if you'd like to hear more stories about courage, healing, and the families we build through unexpected connections, we'd be honored to have you join our community by subscribing. From our hearts to yours, thank you for being part of this journey. Golden light spilled across polished floorboards as sunset painted the Rocky Mountain sky in brushstrokes of amber, and rose through wide windows. Snow-capped peaks stood sentinel against the approaching evening, their rugged permanence a fitting backdrop for lives being rebuilt with equal parts determination and hope. The house, a spacious log cabin nestled in a Colorado valley, hummed with the sounds of a small gathering. Laughter from the kitchen, music playing softly from hidden speakers, the occasional excited exclamation from the twins, now 5 years, old and blossoming in the security of their new home. Thomas Riley stood on the back deck, a mug of coffee warming his hands against the mountain chill. A year had passed since the confrontation at Mason Ridge, a year of testimony to federal prosecutors, of protective custody arrangements gradually transitioning to normal life, of a pharmaceutical empire imploding under the weight of criminal investigations and class action lawsuits. Elliot Vandermeer had been indicted on 16 counts of fraud, evidence tampering, and pride. "Thank you for coming to our anniversary," Sophia began, with formal politeness, once everyone was seated. "It's been exactly 1 year since we moved to our mountain houses," Olivia continued, the twins still prone to sharing thoughts across separate voices. "And we have decided," Sophia added, "that it's time to make things official. The adults exchanged curious glances as the twins disappeared briefly into the adjacent room, returning with a large piece of construction paper covered in colorful drawings and careful handwriting. "We made a family tree," Olivia explained, holding up the artwork for all to see. Thomas felt something catch in his throat as he recognized the diagram. At the top, Victoria's name with Mommy written beneath it. Connected by carefully drawn lines were Sophia and Olivia, but the tree had additional branches, one extending to Mr. Thomas, our guardian, and smaller connections to Sergeant Jones, honorary uncle, and even Ms. Rebecca, helper who made mistakes but is trying to be better. "In school," Sophia explained. "Seriously, Mrs. Bennett said families come in all different kinds. Some have just a mom or just a dad," Olivia continued. "Some have grandparents who take care. Some have two mums or two dads. And some," Sophia concluded, "have a mom and a guardian who lives next door and teaches self-defense and makes pancakes on Sundays." Victoria's eyes met Thomas's across the room, something warm and unspoken passing between them. "We think our family is special," Olivia said, "because we chose each other," Sophia finished. The simple profundity of this statement, delivered with the straightforward certainty of children, filled the room with a weight more powerful than any courtroom testimony or legal declaration. Thomas remembered the hospital waiting room, where it had all begun, two small faces looking up at him with solemn trust. A mysterious letter, a moment of decision that had altered the trajectory of multiple lives. He thought of the empty apartment he'd left behind, the midnight security shifts abandoned, the solitary existence exchanged for this rich tapestry of connection. Later, after the twins had been tucked into bed with stories and the guests had departed, Thomas and Victoria sat on the connecting porch between their homes, the mountain night spread above them in a canopy of stars. "They've been working on that family tree all week," Victoria said, her voice soft in the darkness. "Very serious about getting all the connections exactly right." "They're remarkable children," Thomas replied, "because they had remarkable protection when they needed it most." Victoria's hand found him in the space between their chairs. "You saved us, Thomas. Not just physically. You saved what matters most. Their trust that good people exist, that promises can be kept." Thomas shook his head slightly. "They saved me too," he admitted. "I was just going through the motions before they appeared. Existing, not living." Victoria's fingers interlaced with his, the connection as natural as breathing. "The girls have a theory," she said with gentle amusement. "They believe we were all meant to find each other, that some things are written in the stars before we ever understand them." Thomas glanced upward at the brilliant constellations arcing above their mountain refuge. Once, he had viewed the world through the tactical lens of a Marine. Threats to neutralize, objectives to secure, parameters to achieve. Now he saw patterns of connection, constellations of meaning, drawn between points of light once viewed as separate and distant. "Maybe they're right," he said quietly. Victoria's smile was visible even in the starlight. The renowned tactical expert Thomas Riley, embracing destiny. "I prefer to think of it as recognizing superior intelligence when I hear it," he countered, with a smile of his own. "Those two are smarter than all of us combined." They sat in comfortable silence, hands still joined, the mountain night wrapping around them like a protective embrace. Below in the valley, lights from scattered homes created their own earthbound constellations, reminders of other lives unfolding, other stories being written beneath the same vast sky. "Whatever brought us together," Victoria said finally, "I'm grateful for it. For you, for this unlikely family we've created." Thomas thought of the twin stones, one for protection, one for finding things still kept in a wooden box on his bedside table. Talismans from a journey that had led not to a destination, but to a beginning. "So am I," he replied simply. And in that quiet acknowledgement, beneath stars that had witnessed countless human dramas unfold across millennia, a former Marine who had once believed his purpose died on a battlefield, found the peace that had eluded him since his return, not in solitude or in the absence of pain, but in the presence of love freely given and gratefully received. A family formed not by blood, but by choice, by courage, by the willingness to stop for those in need when easier paths led elsewhere, by the recognition that sometimes the greatest acts of heroism aren't performed on battlefields or in moments of dramatic confrontation, but in the quiet decision to reach out when others turn away, to protect not just lives but hearts. We hope this story has touched something in your own heart, perhaps a reminder that families take many forms, that healing comes in unexpected ways, or that purpose often finds us when we least expect it. If you've found meaning in Thomas and Victoria's journey, in the twins' remarkable resilience, or in the power of chosen families, we'd be honored if you'd share your thoughts with our community. For every story we tell here, thousands more unfold. In the real world, quiet acts of courage, unexpected connections, hearts finding their way home through darkness. By sharing these narratives, we illuminate the path for others still searching. From our hearts to yours, thank you for being part of this journey. Until next time, look for the helpers, or better yet, be one. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.